Whether you're gaming on a mid-tier PC or playing on the newest generation of console, what's really going to limit your gaming experience is your monitor. Now, there's a lot of videos out there that try to paint the difference between gaming on a high refresh rate monitor like a 120 or 144 hertz panel versus playing on something that's 60 hertz or 75 hertz. And I've made a video in the past trying to detail out the difference between high refresh rate and your typical refresh rate at 60 hertz. But that is extremely hard to convey to you guys when the game captures at 60 hertz, the display you're watching this video on is probably 60 hertz. It's extremely difficult to actually see what 120 hertz actually looks like. And that's really the point of this video, to try and show you guys the actual difference on your device that playing at a higher refresh rate versus a lower refresh rate looks like. So in order to actually do that, we had to kind of say, what is 144 hertz versus 60 hertz on a 60 hertz display? So in order to do that, we just kind of had to calculate out what is the actual frame time for each one of those refresh rates. So for a 144 hertz panel, you're looking at right around 7 milliseconds per frame. So every 7 milliseconds, your monitor is showing you a new frame. Whereas on a 60 hertz panel, your monitor is refreshing at every 17 milliseconds or so. So it's almost 2.5 times as quick to respond on a 144 hertz versus a 60 hertz. Makes sense. So if we were to consider that 60 hertz is our high refresh rate, what is the FPS we would need in order to match that frame time difference between 144 and 60 hertz? So that frame time difference is right around 9 seconds. In order to match that, we then just had to, of course, say, what is 9 milliseconds of frame response time between 60 hertz and whatever FPS is going to be below that? And that is where we land on 38 FPS. So the difference between a 144 hertz panel and a 60 hertz panel should be relatively similar to the difference between a 60 hertz panel and a 38 hertz panel. So in order to try to convey this to you guys, we're going to play a little bit of Valerant at both 144 and 60 FPS, show you guys that you can't really tell a difference on the display that you're watching on, and then show you 60 FPS versus 38 FPS. And that should hopefully convey the difference to you guys of the frame rate between a high refresh rate and a typical refresh rate panel.
Nice, come back. Don't push. Yeah, I think. Anyone there? So you have a tip, you can't do it. We can win. Station waterfall.
So hopefully after seeing the gameplay at 60 FPS versus 38 FPS, it's a little bit easier to tell the actual frame rate and frame time difference that you'd see from like a high refresh rate panel versus a 60 hertz panel. And there's a lot of good options at 144 hertz or 165 hertz at pretty much any budget. So if you're looking for a 1080p around $150 display, you can get the same AOC monitor that we've tested a couple months ago. I will put a link to that monitor in the description below, but you can also step it up to a 1440p 144 hertz monitor like I have here with the Dell S27 19DGF. That one will cost you closer to $350 or $400. So there's a wide range of monitors at both 1080p, 1440p at 144 hertz. So I'll definitely leave some links to some monitors from a bunch of different price ranges at the 144 hertz mark down in the description below if you want to take a look at those. But hopefully this video answered some questions on the actual difference between a high refresh rate monitor and a lower refresh rate monitor, and actually gave you some visuals to actually look at in order to make that decision for yourself. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Any questions or comments, leave those down below. And if you haven't already, get subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.